Of our problem is the structure. We are not the same people. We don't. I'm going this way. Your understanding. I said it last night. I come from a culture where
let's build this Lion King Lego set I got from Temu.
Man, y'all know what it is. Big Zano back with another one. Temu single-handedly.
If you think that I have an issue with Igbo people or that I have an issue with, you will understand where this is coming from. The political class thinks in a very distasteful way, and that's me being mild. This one I'm about to read, this guy talked about Ataturk a couple of months ago, wishing for a messiah. You would like to have a situation where we have strong men in politics. It's a weak person that constantly wishes for a strong man to come and save him. You have no plans to change anything. You have no vision for the people, but you're always constantly whipping up sentiments and asking for something strong, somebody strong to come and help and come and save you. And the only group that does this is the Southeast. Listen, if you're a young person from the Southeast, you are blessed. But if you can, please listen to other people from other places so that your life can be better. Because this is. Let me read this. So don't go be like I just talk. By the way, the man's name is Kingsley Mogalu. Again, some of these guys may be very good accountants, good whatever they're doing professionally, but outside that profession, be like say. Let's read. He says, I smile when people say we need strong institutions but not strong leaders. Truth, we need strong men and women, strong in the right manner, visionary big thinkers to build strong institutions. There's a reason why Rwanda works. I'll talk about that. And why Singapore became what it is. We'll speak about that. And why China rose. We'll talk about that as well. When South Africa became the Rainbow Nation, the 6 founding fathers of the American Republic, George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, strong character with large vision. The systems all these strong men built are all different depending on the local context, but the leadership was characterized by one ingredient, vision and the strength behind it. No. This man said the only thing that made them that was vision and strength behind it. I'll tell you this. If you are a Nigerian, especially young people, and you listen to motivational speakers, please be careful. Majority of motivational speakers, maybe they mean well for the most part, but they are very ignorant of the reality. If you think the only thing that makes Singapore and Rwanda and all those things is just vision, you don't get it. And this is the shame that you get for going to school and not thinking straight and just be shouting that you're something. You're a professor, but you don't even understand basic. Let me tell you something. This thing he's saying was exactly what Sironsi tried to do. And he has mentioned it several times. The idea of erasing ethnic identities, no tribes, we are all one. Then we have a visionary leader who is able to shape stuff and just create what we want. He has said this thing in different ways. So let's interrogate very quickly, because of time, some of the things that he has mentioned. He mentioned Rwanda. Let me tell you something that is true, and you can fact check me. At the root of all the countries he mentioned, to admit, Rwanda is what it is today because, I mean, somebody came here the other day, we had a session on Rwanda, and apparently there are certain things he couldn't say. He makes Singapore and Rwanda and all those things is just vision. You don't get it. And this is the shame that you get for going to school and not thinking straight and just be shouting that you're something. You're a professor, but you don't even understand basic. Let me tell you something. This thing he's saying was exactly what Sironsi tried to do. And he has mentioned it several times. The idea of erasing ethnic identities, no tribes, we are all one. Then we have a visionary leader who is able to shape. Interrogate very quickly, because of time, some of the things that he has mentioned. He mentioned Rwanda. Let me tell you something that is true, and you can fact check me. At the root of all the countries he mentioned is ethnic identity. At the root of the success of the countries that he mentioned is ethnic identity. Something that Igbos hate to admit. Rwanda is what it is today because, I mean, somebody came here the other day, we had a session on Rwanda, and apparently there are certain things he couldn't say. He lived in and still has stuff in Rwanda, so he was very careful. The Hutus and the Tutsis had a war, I mean, proper genocide, terrible stuff that happened in Rwanda. But have you noticed that the person who is leading, who said there is no ethnicity in the country, he is not ashamed to own up to his own ethnicity, even if the people of his ethnic group are not in Rwanda? Study the whole thing about M23 and the connection with, I mean, Congo and Rwanda, and the connection, the Tutsi connection. It's Tutsi, that's the connection, essentially. Ethnicity runs deep in everything. When you go to Singapore, Singapore is 75% Chinese. There are three main groups in Singapore. There's the Chinese, the Indians, and the Malays. Chinese are about 75%. I like him. He's a strong man. He's a man of vision. But he said something about the Confucian philosophy with which they run society. They may not be speaking Mandarin like you hear all over China, but they are Chinese. And he mentioned that when he met what's the name of this, the president before Xi Jinping, that, you know, he told him that they are the descendants of the peasants that moved from China to Singapore. It's an identity thing. Nigeria is not like that. All this comparing Nigeria with Singapore, comparing Nigeria with Rwanda, meanwhile, the part of the country that works, that is yours, you cannot think of building that kind of thing there. You always think of doing it in Nigeria. At the root of what you see in Singapore is an ethnic identity. Even China, as big as China is more than 90% Han Chinese. You look at the numbers as a billion, but there's an identity that they all share. The Han Chinese are the vast majority in terms of the ethnicity in China. So it's over a billion, there are many, but there is a worldview that they all share. Which worldview combines me and an Igbo person, or me and a TV person, or me and an Indoma person? We're different nations in one country. This is not Rwanda. This is not Singapore.
Attention! Break! Break! Watch out! Do you have to drive like you're in Formula One? But Mama...
Different nations in one country. This is not Rwanda. This is not Singapore. And that's why we say, and I have said it several times, the best thing that Nigeria needs is ethno-linguistic states, where you can have Nigeria become like something like the EU, like a mini continent. There's so many nations within our space for people to just be enamored with the idea of a messiah, a benevolent dictator that will just destroy everything and build Nigeria. Meanwhile, what they're asking for in Nigeria, they have never done it where they come from. It makes no sense. When you say, like, we need strong men to build, listen, it would be great to have strong men, but we've tried it in Nigeria, and every time we have strong men, and we did not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. Tell me what the system that the strong men have built since 1960. I can tell you the system that a strong man built in my region in the 1950s that still stands to today. And one of the reasons for that is because there is cohesion, there's homogeneity as far as our ethnic identity is concerned, and we have the same worldview. We are Yoruba. The Chinese, for instance, have different sub-ethnic groups and all of those things, but at the root of everything is a common identity. They're able to plug into that, even in Singapore. People just sit down and shouting this vision that will kill everybody. It's not the same vision that made somebody come and say, we have to make Nigeria a unitary system. On the advice of Igbo leaders, because it was in the manifesto they wrote in 1954. Guys, I said there's something I will not say. The least I can say, I will say it. They have a plan, and that plan has always been based on unitary system. And that's why Zeke himself was for unitary system. Although he would go, one day he would tell you it's federal, then he'll go back to unitary, going back and forth. The first time they had absolute powers, what did they do? They created a unitary system in Nigeria. What did that do for us? What is it doing for us? Since 66, we are still in soup. This is 2025. And somebody has not learned anything from that. Just wakes up one morning and says, wait, let's go back to that thing that Tirasi did not do well. Let's try it again. We need strong men. Whatever makes you ask for strong men, dictators, shows you are from an underdeveloped culture. There's only one group in Nigeria today that's always shouting and clamoring for military. It's because you are not developed. The only way you can be led is by force. And everybody has gone through that, by the way. Everyone has gone through that. It's just that the time that they went through it, you haven't been through that. Nobody mentions the mistakes of the past. So you guys will just wake up and repeat it all over again and ask for, he says, I smile when people say we need strong things. This is somebody that worked in the CBN. This was the deputy governor of Central Bank of Nigeria saying that what we need are strong men, not strong institutions. Let me tell you something. Is it good to have strong men? Yes. Can strong men build the right institutions? They can if they want to. Because we've had many strong men who did not build any good institution for Nigeria. Awolowo was a strong man. But the reason, if Awolowo had done what he did in Western Nigeria and Nigeria, it would not have succeeded. There's no way now. Nigeria has a way of unraveling. They will see what's happening right now. We're talking about the tax system. Somebody comes up and the next thing you are hearing is that the priority? It's not because what he's saying, it's not because what Tinubu is doing is a problem. It's just because Ilara and June won't say village or Ijalara or Tomboro. Ilara yewa ambe. Like if it's not my own, it cannot be good. These are people talking about vision. In your region, what is the vision? What is the plan for the Southeast? And I'm mentioning Southeast now, Igbo now, because Mogalu does this every other market day. He will come up with one idea of, and you know the funny thing, he's on Twitter. Young people are on Twitter. They are reading this nonsense. He does it every time. What do you think is going to happen to young people who read this nonsense? They start longing for that time where you can have one military guy that will just come and do. We have Traore. As though we've not been under military regime. See, it would make sense if we never grew up under military regime. We grew up, we saw it. Abacha was a strong man. Babangida was a strong man. Buhari was a strong man. Obasanjo was a strong man. Look called the other one. Murtala was a strong man. Gowon was a strong man. Ironsi was a strong man. Now, put all those 7 together. I'm intentionally removing Absalom Abubakar because he didn't stay too long for the no, Ijagban was the second in command to somebody. Put all those 7 people together, right? combine all the forces, right? All the achievements in the last 60 some years, right? Combine all the achievements, compare it with the achievements of Singapore, of Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. The reason you can't have the same thing is because we are not the same people. It's simple. So what works is that you create a structure where that strong man you're looking for, have it in your region. Since you cannot think on your own, you cannot create any systems for yourself, have that strong man in your region, because at least now you have your own people and you can become Lee Kuan Yew and become Singapore and grow Dubai. The crazy part about the Southeast is that they never think about growing that Dubai in the region. They're always thinking about Nigeria. You know why? Because you have to take what belongs to others in order to make you feel good, to build what you're thinking you want to build, which you have never built in history. It's a shame. I sound like this because young people... Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. I know someone just wrote something in the comment section. I thought there was no live today, and you're right. I announced that we're going to have the next session on Monday, on or before Monday. That's what I said. So, yeah, I went for that school event. Thanks for asking. Just joking. Anyway, so while I was there, I thought, you know what, we can have something tomorrow at 4 p.m. But it might work if I had this, I don't know if I should call it a session or whatever it is. But then I thought about something else. So from next week, like I said, we're not going to be having daily live sessions, but I still want us to have sessions because some people reached out to me and said, you know, that something should still be done, even if I'm not coming live. I've been thinking about that for a couple of weeks, actually. So I came up with this idea that we will, there's going to be live sessions Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, but then the days where we don't have live sessions, we can place some videos. To be fair, and you may not know this, I don't know if anybody here knows it, but we have loads and loads of content on YouTube, right? And I know that sometimes we need to revisit some of those things. There are about 555 videos on YouTube, and so it makes sense that days like that, where maybe because I'm studying or I'm writing or I'm working on something else, we can listen to some of those videos. So I decided to try it out today, and it looks really good. But again, let me just announce that tomorrow we're going to have a live session at 4 p.m. Next week we'll have a normal, time, 1 p.m. Ife time. But then that would be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But so Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think it's possible that we listen to some of these videos. Many of them we have, like I said, we have about 500 videos on YouTube now. Some are short, some are long. But for today, because Shireri, so I want to try something out today. There's a video I made a couple of months ago. Did Awolowo betray the Igbos? I'd like us to just listen to it. I won't come live. I mean, I'm live, but my face is not here because I just came back from the school event and just trying to rest. But I thought it's important for me to say this so that by tomorrow, I go marry. Meanwhile, this thing's already on the Telegram channel that we're going to have a session at 4 p.m. And if you're not a member of the Telegram channel, please join the Telegram channel. It's Redomi Global. Redomi Global. So that's on Telegram. T.me. I'll probably just type it here. T. And if you can't spell Redomi, I think that's usually it's Redomi. I'm going to type it here all the same. T.mi/Redomi. Oh, I had a great time. Oh, Mr. Collier show is show. I had a great time where we were treated to, I don't know what to call it. It was nice. It was nice. Good to hang out with the kids. All right. So let's listen to that video. It's about 35 minutes, less than 40 minutes. So just listen to it while whatever you're doing today. But I think, my brother, I said it several times now that today I go school. Tomorrow I still go another one. But by 4 o'clock we'll be able to have a session tomorrow. So I wanted to try something out, like I said. So let's do it. This video is on YouTube, and just in case you were not here when I said it, we have loads and loads of videos on YouTube. We have over 500 videos, some short, some long. And one of those long videos I'm going to play now, so you can just listen to it, enjoy yourselves, and I'll probably still come up again to say hello. That will be much later, Sha. So, Eshio, thank you very much for being here. Enjoy. This is called "Did Awolowo Betray the Igbos?" Why is this important? Because, well, of course, we're still talking about Awo, and all these things we're going to eventually. Hope you make presentation for the kids. No, this kid is not that kid though. He's a teenager. They are the one I went today is a teenager, so they have their own. Don't mind me. I call them kids, but guy on top ask myself. Anyway, let me play that video and then we can all just enjoy. I was saying the reason I want to play this thing. So we're having our little path. So I'm still going to get to this particular topic in the journey, but additionally, so I like bouncing a coffee. So we have an idea of this. Again, you can find this video on YouTube, so you can even watch it. But let's play it, and I'm sure you're going to like it. All right. Thank you very much for being here. You can power tap, you can share like we do on a normal day. And if this works today, then we will be doing it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maybe not for 5, 6, 7 hours like we would normally do. Maybe for 2 hours or less, on those days. So I'm hoping that this works, and I think it's going to work. Like we can still get the message, even if we're playing videos that are already made. This one is nice. It's called "Did Awolowo Betray the Igbos?" So enjoy. Please feel free to share and like the page if you're on YouTube as well. Or like the live and share the live. If you're on YouTube as well, please do the same. And remember, tomorrow, 4 p.m. is when we're going to meet, not 1 p.m. All right? Thank you so much. So let's listen to "Did Awolowo Betray the Igbos?" Eshio. Ẹkáàbọ Yomi, it's good to have you join me on this podcast, Busui Oris Speaks. Today I'd like to delve into a question that has lingered for over half a century. For more than 50 years, people have asked this question: did Awolowo betray the Igbos? And by extension, did the Yoruba people betray the Igbos? Now, this is something that I've heard said by people, especially from the southeastern part of Nigeria, over and over again over the years. I've heard people say things like, not even question it, just make statements like, Awolowo betrayed Igbos, Yoruba betrayed Igbos, you guys are traitors and things like that. And it's something that a lot of people believe. And when we say a lot of people, I mean a whole lot of people. And that is whether they're educated or uneducated. You see the average Joe believing the same thing as the most educated people from the Southeast saying things like that. And this thing has gone on for a long time. And the claim that has been made, for the most part, there's been no counter claims, right? Especially in the public space. You see, the thing about the Nigerian Civil War, or the history generally, especially as it has to do with the southeastern part of Nigeria, is that we have a single narrative, right? And there's something that Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie said in a TED talk. She called it the danger of a single story. And this is something that has been in the public space. A lot of people have believed it. People don't even question it anymore, because to question it is as though you're trying to, question the people's claim to what they went through, their pain, their suffering. So when they make statements like that, people just assume that perhaps they're right and they have a right to say it because guess what, they went through something. But that's a very dangerous way to look at history. We shouldn't just allow things to fly because we're trying not to, bother people or make them feel somehow. Now, you can't put out lies against me and then I'm supposed to let it slide because guess what? If I say something, you might feel uncomfortable. Well, you're making me feel uncomfortable as well. So the thing is this: I don't mind if I feel uncomfortable as long as what you're saying is the truth, because truth does not care about feelings. However, you can't make me feel uncomfortable based on what makes you happy, even if that thing is actually a lie. And I shouldn't have to make you feel comfortable based on lies either. We should be able to actually ask the question, is there any truth to the fact that Awolowo and the Yoruba people betrayed the Igbos? Now, this would probably not be a major thing, considering the fact that, it's something that people say. But understanding what's happening right now in the Nigerian political landscape makes it very, very important for us to begin to, provide clarity about about historical matters, so that we're not left, just believing because certain people say it. Another thing about Nigeria's history is that there's a vacuum. And we all know this: nature abhors a vacuum. If there's a vacuum as far as history is concerned, it will be filled, and it will be filled by anything, whether it's the truth or not. People will believe it because that's the only thing they have, and there's no alternative. And that's the reason for this conversation today. Now, you might wonder, why revisit this topic now? Well, it's because the wrong doesn't become right, or the lies become truth just because it is believed by the majority of the people and it has been repeated over and over and over again. The truth of the matter is that when it comes to the idea of Nigerian history, what you have in the public space is more propaganda than the truth. And when I say the truth, I'm not saying the truth according to me. I'm saying having read different accounts from different sides, or from all sides, as a matter of fact, whether it's from the eastern side, the western side, the foreign side, the eastern minority side, even the northern side, having read all those accounts, you should be able to come to what the truth really is, so that you don't become a victim of propaganda. And I think that for the most part, many people in Nigeria are victims of propaganda. So let's try and set the record straight so that we know exactly what happened, what was said, and if there's any betrayal, we can all own up to it. But if there's no betrayal, it's also important to set the record straight. All right, so let's start with this. I think a question I'd like to ask before I even get into the question of today is that, why is it that people believe in this narrative of Awolowo and Yoruba people betraying the Igbos regardless of their educational status? Why? Because I've heard people from across different social strata, regurgitate these things about betrayal. And one of the first persons who is quite popular with this claim is Chinua Achebe. Now, to be clear, Chinua Achebe was a fantastic and celebrated writer. His book, Things Fall Apart, has been translated into more than 50 languages across the world. So there's no gainsaying the fact that he was brilliant, he was famous, and he was really great. He was a really great writer. However, apart from being a writer, he was also involved with the Biafran government. Not only was he a roving ambassador for Biafra, he was also part of the Ministry of Information, which is essentially Biafra Directorate for Propaganda. And there were certain things that were pushed out during the war that you would have expected that before he left this earth, he would have set the record straight. Unfortunately, his last book, There Was a Country, actually has some very interesting things, where in many cases, he found the way to essentially repeat the propaganda narrative from the Civil War. And one of those things he said has to do with this whole betrayal thing that a lot of people bandy about today. So let's read something from his book, There Was a Country. He says, "The Civil War cast a long dark shadow on Nigeria. A generation of our children has grown up on a steady diet of false history and lies about the war. One example is the belief among many that Chief Obafemi Awolowo was a savior and a hero. My aim here is not to denigrate Awolowo, who was a foremost nationalist and a political leader, but to say that we cannot sweep his role in the war under the carpet." He goes on to say, "It is my view that Awolowo was driven by an overriding ambition for power, and that he saw the dominant Igbos at the time as obstacles. He is said to have once declared that if the eastern region seceded, the West would also secede. But when secession came, the West did not follow through." Now, there's a lot in this passage I just read that needs to be unpacked, right? Starting with the very first couple of sentences, and then we'll get to the one where he talked about what Awo was purported to have said. So he says here that the Civil War cast a long dark shadow on Nigeria. A generation of our children has grown up on a steady diet of false history and lies about the war. Hold on. You see, when I read that, the question that comes to mind is, who is responsible for feeding the children a steady diet of false history and lies about the war, or about anything for that matter as far as Nigeria's history is concerned? I think for the most part it's people from the southeast. I think for the most part it's people like the revered Chinua Achebe, who, for instance, made it their stock in trade to continually feed people a steady diet of false history. And one of such meals is found here in this passage I just read. But let's take it, one by one. And let's start with when he says a steady diet of false history and lies about the war. The truth of the matter is this: for somebody who worked in the Directorate of Propaganda and who churned out propaganda that has been debunked over and over again, it makes it very easy to understand the fact that he's actually projecting here. When it comes to being fed or people feeding others a steady diet of false history and propaganda and lies, I think it's more from the Biafran side. And you're going to get to understand why I say that in a minute. So it says here, it is my view that Awolowo, this is Achebe by the way, it is my view that Awolowo was driven by an overriding ambition for power and that he saw the dominant Igbos at the time as obstacles. How? This is ridiculous, and I'll tell you why. So when he says that the Igbos were dominant and they were the obstacles, my question is, in what way were the Igbos obstacles to Awolowo's overriding ambition? Were they stopping him from doing anything? Was this before he went to prison or after he went to prison? When the program started, for instance, Awolowo was already in prison. The ambition he had, how exactly was his participation in the war a way to prove that the Igbos were in his path? These are some of the things we're going to be, x-raying in the coming sessions and episodes. But for today, I just want to make it very clear. The Igbos were never a threat to the Yorubas. What they were was, especially in the First Republic, what happened really was that a group of people decided to use nepotism as the tool of getting ahead in federal civil service. And even that did not affect Awolowo, because Awolowo was not trying to work in the federal civil service. If he had any ambitions, which he did, it would be to become the president of Nigeria. And that had nothing to do with Igbo dominance. And one of these days, I think we're going to have to actually question this claim about Igbo dominance and how it actually happened. But that's for another day. Let's continue with the thing that Chinua Achebe wrote here. So he says here, we cannot sweep his role in the war under the carpet. I agree with him, and we shouldn't. And we're going to have episodes where we're going to discuss Awolowo's role in the Civil War. Perhaps the next episode will be on that, because a lot of things have been said by people like this who try to, find a way to make something out of nothing and make him the villain that he was never. But we're going to get into all of that much later. So let's get into the one that has to do with the idea of Awolowo and Yoruba people betraying the Igbo. So he says here, he's talking about Awolowo. He said to have once declared that if the eastern region seceded, the west would also secede. But when secession came, the west did not follow through. Now, when you read that, it would sound like Awolowo promised the East, or Ojukwu specifically, something about if you secede, the West would also secede. But guess what Achebe did in this passage? He said, this is actually quite tricky. Achebe wrote, he said to have once declared. Achebe was not a child in 1967. Achebe did not make the claim that Awolowo said anything. He said to have declared, not he declared, not he said. If he said or declared, Achebe would be in a very good position to know. So what he was doing was basically to just throw something out there and make it seem like he said something. He promised Ojukwu something. But the question is, did Awolowo promise Ojukwu or the Eastern region that the West would secede if the Eastern region decided to do so? That's the question. Was there any agreement between them? Was there any documentation, transcripts perhaps, recordings? Is there anything that we can hold on to be able to arrive at the same conclusion that Achebe arrived at? And by the way, it's not just Achebe who wrote something like this. Another person who wrote something similar also happens to be someone who is very educated. She's a PhD holder. She was a federal minister in Nigeria under President Olusegun Obasanjo and President Goodluck Jonathan. She was a minister of finance. She was a director of the World Bank. And she's presently the head of the World Trade Organization. She's not your average Jane. She's educated, she's brilliant, she's an economist, and I'm talking about no other than Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She wrote a book titled Achebe, Teacher of Light. And let me read to you what she says in that book. She says, the Civil War broke out on May 30, 1967, when the Igbos and the Southeast, under Colonel Emeka Ojukwu, declared Biafra an independent state, with Enugu chosen as its capital. Biafra also had its own national currency. The Igbos had made this secessionist move with the promise from Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the Southwest that the Yorubas would follow suit. The plan was, if the Southeast and Southwest broke away from the Nigerian Federal Union, the federal government would not be able to fight a war on two fronts. Awolowo, however, failed to honor his pledge, and the secession proved a nightmare for the Igbos. Awolowo, in fact, became the Minister of Finance of the federal government during the Civil War. The Igbos interpreted this as a sign of bad faith on the part of the Yoruba leader, and trust was further eroded between the two ethnic groups. The Yorubas using superior federal military power in alliance with the North and other Nigerian groups, and supported by the British, forced the Igbos back into the Federal Union after a period of 3 years. This is how propaganda works. Achebe said it was repeated on Radio Biafra. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala picked it and wrote the same thing, and a lot of people believe. Now, why wouldn't you believe that? She's a doctor. Achebe is a celebrated writer. These are famous people, so they must know what they're saying, isn't it? But no, they don't know what they're saying as far as this is concerned. Now, this doesn't take away from the fact that these are brilliant people. These are celebrated people, and they should be celebrated for whatever they do as far as profession and career is concerned. But when it comes to history, this is not history. This is propaganda. That's what they're telling you here. And how does propaganda work? Pick up half-truths, spice it up with a heavy dose of your own agenda while simplifying complex issues, and then you make everything appear black or white, and at the same time you appeal to emotions and repeat your concoction over and over and over again until people believe it. It's not that it is true. It is just that it has been perfectly, put together to drive a particular narrative. And so for more than 50 years, people believe these things, including intellectuals. Believing it to the point where they published it. But just because they said it doesn't mean it is true. Now, here's the interesting part. Although Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is not from the Southeast, she's Igbo. And I would say that she has heard this thing over and over again, just like every other person, educated or uneducated, and she has come to believe it. The problem is she should have interrogated that claim. When and where did Chief Awolowo tell the Igbos that if you decide to secede, we're also going to do it together, so the federal government becomes, weak, since they will not be able to fight on two fronts? Where did this happen? Then it says here, Awolowo failed to honor his pledge. What pledge? How am I supposed to keep a promise I did not make? But a lot of people said, no, he made that promise. He made that promise, and he betrayed the trust, like she wrote here. I mean, anybody would read this, a young person would read this and just have the basis for hate. And by the way, in Nigeria, those who accuse people of hating on them are the ones who project hate. Let's make that very clear. You read this, you hear the rhetorics of the Civil War, and you have a basis for your hatred towards other groups. You think you are hated. You think you're the victim of everything. But in reality, this did not happen. How do I know this? I'm going to read something to you from a man called Chief MCK Ajuluchukwu. But before I do that, let me just reiterate something that Dr. Okonjo-Iweala said in her book. She said, the plan was if the Southeast and Southwest broke away from the Nigerian Federal Union, the federal government would not be able to fight a war on two fronts. Awolowo, however, failed to honor his pledge, and the secession proved a nightmare for the Igbos. What pledge are we talking about? And where exactly did you have this plan of the Southeast and the Southwest breaking away? Again, you would expect that people would question these things, interrogate these claims, not because you want to make the person look bad, but because you want to be sure that what you believe is the truth. Now, many people have cited a May 1967 meeting between Awolowo and Ojukwu, where Awolowo supposedly made the promise. But is it true? So I have something here from Chief MCK Agilochukwu. He was an Igbo politician, and he was present at the meeting that Awolowo had with Ojukwu. And by the way, this meeting was actually an event where representatives of the Western region, the Midwestern region, the Northern region, and the federal government went to Enugu to have a meeting with Ojukwu. Let me read something to you from MCK Agilochukwu. And by the way, this is from his foreword in the book Awo on the Nigerian Civil War. It says, the visits to Enugu on May 5, 1967 by Awo and his conversations with Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu, military governor of Eastern Nigeria, have been the subject of continuing public debate ever since. Incidentally, I had the opportunity of holding some informal discussions with the chief for 3 hours on the morning of May 6. In fact, we concluded our talks at 10:50 a.m., only 10 minutes before his first meeting with Ojukwu. I should therefore be in a position to testify from first-hand knowledge that at no time during that turbulent crisis did Awo harbor any thoughts or take any actions other than those calculated to encourage the continuing identification of the Igbos as an integral part of Nigeria, even if for a trial period of confederal linkage. At the same time, I felt certain then, after listening to him, that should the Igbos be pushed or forced out, he would be willing to lead the West out too, and with the East, Midwest, and Lagos help to organize a Southern condominium. Now, let me quickly say something from what I just read now. Observe that he said, at the same time, I felt certain. Awolowo did not tell you that. You felt certain. That is on your own. I felt certain that after listening to him, that should the Igbos be pushed or forced out, he would be willing. He felt certain. Just like what Achebe said, none of them have said Awolowo said. The only person who actually made that statement of Awolowo pledged was Okonjo-Iweala. Achebe did not say it. Achebe said he is said to have declared. And then Agilochukwu says here, I felt certain, not Awolowo promised. But let's continue. Perhaps, this is again from Chief MCK Agilochukwu, perhaps the most striking declaration made by Chief Awolowo during the first day of his talks with Ojukwu was the assurance regarding the safety of all Eastern Nigerians in the West and Lagos. The transcript of that recorded statement of May 6, 1967 is as follows. Nobody can tell when life will be lost, but I think, speaking the minds of the entire people of Western Nigeria and Midwestern Nigeria, that if anybody can at this stage take the life of an Igbo man or an Easterner, or if any outstanding Easterner loses his life by the act of someone else, the whole of the Western region and the Midwestern region will take it as the end of Nigeria. I can give that assurance on behalf of Western Nigeria and Lagos. Now, back to Chief MCK Agilochukwu. It is now left to the people of the eastern states, particularly the Igbos, bear witness to the fact that Chief Awolowo did indeed fulfill his promises in the crucial matter of life and death and pogrom. I'd like to repeat what Agilochukwu says here. It is now left to the people of the eastern states, particularly the Igbos, to bear witness to the fact that Chief Awolowo did indeed fulfill his promises in the crucial matter of life and death and pogrom. At no time in this meeting was a promise made that if the eastern region seceded, the West would also follow suit. The promise Awo made was about the protection of the lives and property of Igbo people What Awolowo promised, he kept. But that which he kept is not celebrated for. And people now try to denigrate him for a promise he did not make, expecting him to keep that promise instead of celebrating him for fulfilling the promise that he actually made. It's weird. And it's quite wild. So what you see here is that Awolowo actually indeed showed concern for the plight of the Easterners and of the Igbos, and he wanted to ensure that they were safe, at least in the Western region. Did to them in the West what was done to them in the North. And I'll read something to you from Awo's own speech. Papa said, some people wanted to make trouble with the Easterners in the West the other time, and I invited them and told them that they must not do so. The Easterners in the West are at most 15,000, but we had about 20,000 Westerners from the North, and still we cannot cope with their problem. How then is it justified that you want to send 15,000 Easterners home only to add to the 2 million they already have on hand? You can't do that. That's from the book Awo on the Nigerian Civil War. Awo said, don't send them back. Don't hurt them. That's a promise. Okay, that's what Awo did. But nobody talks about that. Everybody do it. Then I asked, I don't feel like give you no source, no references, no transcript, no recordings, no documentation, nothing for propaganda. Let's go on. Let me go back to Chief Ajuluchukwu and read something from his writings. He says, furthermore, there was no doubt about Chief Awolowo having given solemn undertaking that under certain expressed conditions, the West would also pull out of the Nigerian Federation were the Eastern region to secede. But contrary to widely held belief, especially in Igbo land, he did not make this pronouncement at his meeting with Odume Ojukwu. The transcript of their conversations contained nothing of the kind. And so from what Ajuluchukwu is saying here, you can deduce two things. Number one was that Papa expressed certain conditions. The question is, what were those conditions? We'll get to that in a bit. The second thing is that, contrary to what many people believe, those conditions were not even expressed at Papa's meeting with Ojukwu. It was at a meeting he held in Ibadan. You see, you think about it, as far as Ibadan is from Enugu, that is how far the truth is from these lies that have been repeated for more than 50 years. There's no truth to it. No statement was made to that effect in Enugu. It was in Ibadan. But the question is that when he made that statement, what did he say? And what were those conditions that he expressed? We'll get to that. So the undertaking was given by Awo at a meeting of the Western Nigerian leaders of thought held at Ibadan in May 1967. At the meeting, Papa gave a speech titled 4 Imperatives. It's actually a famous speech, 4 Imperatives. And this is why it bothers me that people will not even care to search for this basic stuff that they can find anywhere before repeating and regurgitating what they've been told by propagandists. I'm going to read to you what Papa actually said in that meeting at Ibadan. I consider it my duty to Yoruba people in particular and to Nigerians in general to place 4 imperatives before you this morning. 2 of them are categorical and 2 are conditional. 1, only a peaceful solution must be found to arrest the present worsening stalemate and restore normalcy. 2, the Eastern region must be encouraged to remain part of the Federation. 3, if the Eastern region is allowed by acts of omission or commission to secede from or opt out of Nigeria, then the Western region and Lagos must also stay out of the Federation. 4. The people of Western Nigeria and Lagos should participate in the ad hoc committee with the other regions of the Federation. Now, let's focus on the third imperative, because that's the one point that has mostly been misinterpreted. And I will say it has been intentional. It says, if the Eastern region is allowed, emphasis on allowed. If the Eastern region is allowed by any act of omission or commission to secede from the Federation, the Western region and Lagos must also stay out of the Federation. If the Eastern region is allowed, you cannot allow yourself. He did not say if the Eastern region secedes. He says if the Eastern region is allowed by any acts of omission or commission to secede from the Federation. This statement was not directed at the Eastern. Region. It's something that the federal government has to watch out for. If you allow these guys to go by any acts of omission or commission, then we will also leave. The question is, were you allowed? He didn't make the promise that if you left, we would leave. He said if you were allowed to go, we would also leave. So why do people intentionally misinterpret this thing to drive the narrative that certain people betray them, when the people who betray them are actually people of their own household? Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that this word allowed in this context has nothing to do with the action of the Easterners or the action of Ojukwu. It has to do with whatever the federal government allowed. It's not on you. It's not on the Eastern region. It's on the federal government. Therefore, at no time did Awolowo make any promise. Contrary to what Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Chinua Achebe have written, at no time did Awolowo make the promise to the Igbos that if you seceded, we would also secede. It did not happen. It did not happen. And if no promise was made, then no promise was broken. Therefore, there's no reason to keep pushing this agenda that you were betrayed. And if by the way, if people decide to continue to push their agenda, at least people have to understand the fact that others should at least understand that it's an agenda. It's propaganda. There's no truth to it. And the only excuse I can make for certain people is to say that, you know what, maybe you have been a victim of propaganda as well, and you just repeated that same thing. However, I cannot change history just to make you feel comfortable. No promise was made, therefore none was broken, therefore there was no betrayal. Therefore, there should be no need for this propaganda, unless, of course, we're beginning to focus on driving a victim narrative, which, by the way, is unnecessary. Now, let me read to you what Chief MCK Ajodejukwu had to say. In view of the above record, Chief Awolowo could have been rightly accused of having committed a breach of his undertaking, were he to have reneged on one or more of the following three propositions as contained in the very significant statement under reference. Number 1, proposition to encourage the Eastern region to remain part of the Nigerian Federation. Number 2, proposition that the Western region and Lagos would also stay out of the Federation if the Eastern region was quote-unquote allowed to secede. Number 3, proposition relevant to the phrase acts of omission or commission as a factor governing the Western region's commitment to secede from the Federation should the Eastern region be pushed out. Every available evidence so far has exonerated Chief Awolowo on all counts. Unlike Pontius Pilate, the accusers of Awo on this secession issue ought to be bold enough to admit that they were wrong and consequently should relieve him of the heavy cross of false charges that he has so unjustly been made to bear in connection with this rather hypersensitive question. The accusers of Awo on this secession issue ought to be bold enough to admit that they were wrong, and consequently should relieve him of the heavy cross of false charges that he has so unjustly been made to bear in connection with this rather hypersensitive question. So there you have it. Those who accuse Awolowo of betraying Igbos, they need to be true to themselves. They need to look in the mirror and admit to themselves that they were wrong, that their secessionist bid did not work out, and that the failure of that thing working out has nothing to do with the participation of Papa Awolowo. And so, to be clear, neither Awolowo nor the Yorubas betrayed the Igbos. As a matter of fact, those who betrayed the Igbos are actually closer to them than they know or they are willing to admit. They are right there. I see in subsequent episodes, I'm going to be talking about how the betrayal really happened. But maybe we should start with this claim of, what Achebe wrote in his book. Let's not sweep Awolowo's role in the Civil War under the carpet. No, let's not sweep it under the carpet. In the next episode, we're going to discuss Awolowo's role in the Nigerian Civil War. And yes, I'm going to bring up references and sources so that you can actually understand what happened, what Awolowo has been accused of, and if there's any truth to it. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I adore Awo. However, if he did anything wrong, I will tell you he did. Because, yes, while I believe that he was a great man and he's still here with us, his ideology is here with us, his accomplishments are here with us, and his spirit is still here with us. But you see, he was also human. So if he made any mistakes, I will be the one to tell you, listen, he was wrong here, he was right here. But what we're not going to do is to lie and spread wrong narratives and make him out to be this terrible person just because he didn't favor our cause. Your cause is not divinely sanctioned. A person can choose not to favor that cause. It doesn't make them evil. And it's important that we have these conversations so that people actually know what the truth is, and then they can decide and believe whatever they want to believe based on true information. You don't have to even agree with me. However, if you're wrong, you are wrong, whether I agree, whether you've been saying it for 58 years or not. So in the next episode, I'll try to talk about Awolowo's role during the war, especially the economy, the food blockade, the 20-pound policy, the change of currency, all those things. We'll get into them, and then we'll see if the things that are being said about Awo, if those things are true or not. I'll give you a clue. Most of what's being said are products of Radio Biafra. And I'm going to tell you more about why the propaganda still thrives today, and why it's important for us to actually get right to the truth and not just believe something because people repeat it over and over again. Now, I understand that it's an emotional conversation. I understand that people have pains from that particular episode in Nigeria's history. However, while I acknowledge the pain, what I recommend is healing. What I recommend is healing, not blackmail, not gaslighting. Let's find healing rather than blaming me for whatever it is that you're responsible for. If we do that, we can build a great nation. If you're not going to do that, then we're going to have to explain exactly what happened. Maybe others would understand exactly what happened, and then we can begin to think of how to find healing. Because as far as I'm concerned, healing is more important than the dedication to play the victim based on things that never happened. Thank you very much for being part of today's conversation. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Let's keep the conversation going. Adebusi Lorukomi, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Adebusi Lorukomi, thank you for listening. I hope you had a great time. And I hope you learned something. That video has been up for a while. It's been up on YouTube for a few months. If you got that, And going forward, we're going to have sessions where we'll discuss Papa's role. And we actually did it the other day when we are talking about um, Ojuku and Victor Banjo and the likes. So we're going to do it again in this our lower series. But like I said, I wanted to test something out today, which was to play some of the videos that we've done. And I said earlier that we have over 500 videos on YouTube channel. Some are short, some are long. And I think that Tuesdays and Thursdays are very good days to, just listen to some of those things again. I just want to ask you, before we go on at all, I think somebody wanted to come up to speak. Although, like I said, it's not a full session. Days like this will not spend more than 2 hours, maybe 1 hour, just to make sure that we keep the conversation going. Like people are saying, at least something should be on the channel every weekday, like we've been doing all this while. But before we bring people, the person wanted to speak. Before I bring the person up, let me just ask a question. What we just did right now, do you guys like it? Can we do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Is it okay? Do you like it? Right? Like we don't have to just stick to the live sessions. This is still live, by the way. The only difference is that the camera is not on, and it's not on because it's not a full session essentially. So I just want to know, get your feedbacks. Do you like this? Okay, Banker says it's perfect. All right. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, we'll continue the normal stuff we do. Then Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm still waiting for more feedback. Is this good for Tuesdays and Thursdays? And then, of course, we can have feedback. So there's nothing wrong. Okay, thank you, Larry on. So we're going to bring people up. It's just that so we're going to bring people up, like we normally do. So it's a session. It's just not the full session. All right. And so I'm saying it's good. It's wow. It's good. All right. Thank you. So we'll be doing this on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm still thinking if we should stick to the 1 p.m., which is the normal time. But if we do 1 p.m., then it's going to end between 2 and 3, and that will be it for the day. Meanwhile, this video is on YouTube, so you can watch it, and all the videos we're going to be playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays will be on YouTube, and all of them have stuff like this that we can put here, so you can see it, and it helps you to recognize the particular video on the YouTube channel. By the way, the YouTube channel is Busui Oris. Busui Oris Works on YouTube. Thank you, guys. So I see people on YouTube as well joining us. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful time. I'm glad you are here. All right. Quick announcement. Tomorrow is Friday, so ṣùgbọ́n àbí látọ̀sán dalẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n torí wípé ọ̀la mo ní àwọn nǹkan kan tí wọ́n ní káwọ̀ bí wá ṣe nílé ẹ̀kọ́ àwọn ọmọ nítorí náà. Okay, I have to stick to one language at this point. All right, so tomorrow we're supposed to have the session from 1 p.m., but because of I have an engagement tomorrow, so we're going to have it at 4 p.m., which is why I put out that ad earlier. So 4 p.m. tomorrow, we're going to have our full session tomorrow. Hopefully in 3-4 hours, we'll be done with that. All right, but going forward, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, we'll start 1 p.m. till 7:30. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, let me ask, is 1 p.m. okay on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or should we make it 4? So we have two options. That will make it 1 p.m. or make it 4 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. One no bad, no. One is not so bad, but 4. I mean, I'm just asking. We're just putting it out there. And then, of course, we have. I think we have a mod here. Babati, good to see you. Mi ò rí any response o. Ṣé ká ìjó ṣé aago kan yẹn náà àbí ká sọ di ọwọ́ ìrọ̀lẹ́ bá aago mẹ́rin. Can anybody hear me, please? Okay, J-Link says 1. Okay, anybody else? Not to be greedy, but I will still get at work. 4 could be okay since it's close to closing time. not to be greedy, but I will still be at work. Okay, I think that's what you're trying to say. So well, the only thing tomorrow, no, it has to be 1 or 4, and I'll tell you why. So if the other days are 1, 1, 1, 1, it's important that it's either constant or okay, it's 1 for these days and then 4 for those days, and obodo yato, so that people will not get confused. But I thank you for putting that out. I've seen 2, I've seen 4, I've seen 3, I've seen 1 a few times. Okay, so for now, let's just say it's going to be 1 for now. It's just that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's not going to be like a full session. Okay, so at least we are consistent with the time. It's just that we don't, But just tomorrow, the call is 4 p.m. Okay. All right. So before we go, I'm going to bring. There's a particular person who's been trying to come up. I think it's Banker. And then please mute. I just remember that I don't even have my headset. Hold on, please. Mambo. All right. So we're here. So let's have the music prelude needs to be shortened. Yeah, it will be shortened. I mean, we're doing 30 minutes, so maybe going forward we'll stick to 30 minutes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. For Tuesdays and Thursdays, I might play on just dive right in. But thank you for that. And I think also, if I have more free time, then we won't have to play so much music on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, because that way, many of the editing we're doing would have done before that time. Like yesterday was quite nice. We started quite early, at least earlier than we usually would. But thank you for that feedback. I'm going to Ranti. Okay, so let's do this very quickly. We have Banke. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
God will forgive you. God will forgive you. In my head, I was waiting for one sultry, sweet voice. But your voice is sweet though, but I'm not giving.
Oh
Get the
my
point.
Yeah, I get the point. Good evening, and
Good
I
evening, my
love
brother.
your life. I've been watching, but this is the first time I'm actually joining your session, because most of the time I'm always at work. So when I finish, I just see the videos and I just watch them and I listen. I was born and brought up in Lagos, but somehow throughout my life, even till now, I spent my life around the Igbos. Even during my youth service, I served in NCCF Family House, that's Nigeria Christian Corpus Fellowship Family House, and most of the people there were Igbos, and my best friend is an Igbo boy. You
Where did you
understand?
serve?
I served at Shagam.
Were you toss?
No. I was an elder of the house.
Okay.
Yes.
I was in NCCF too. That's what I'm asking. But please continue.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so we spoke a lot. For 1 year we stayed together. We spoke a lot. We had so many dialogues outside of the normal NCCF curriculum. We spoke about Nigeria and stuff like that. And I found out something. And I found out that we, the youth, now have had years of wrong informations, and we just follow through that bad blood. None of us have actually gone back to read about our history, to actually know what exactly brought us here. What we also know I come from a family whereby I'm sorry to say my grandparents, they don't like Igbo people. I don't know. They don't just like them. And I grew up around Igbo. My friends were Igbo. They would be like, Igbo, these Igbos, they are this, they are that, they are this. Igbos too will tell you, Yoruba people, they are this, they are that, they are this, they are that. Now, none of these people actually even understand anything that is going on. That's why I love this this life that you did, this teaching, this educational teaching that you did today, making us understand, even if it's not deep yet, some of the most important things of the things that happen in our history. None of us have actually gone to read, except from me, though, because I've read about so many things. Because it got to a point I got sick and tired. I was supposed to get married to an Igbo person, and it got so many. I'm not married, but I was supposed to. I was planning to, but for some reasons, my family, now, it was hell. Now, unfortunately, too, her family too, it was hell. It was really hell. So we couldn't go on. We had to go our separate ways. You understand? Now, there is also something you said about the war that I also want to tell my Igbo brothers and sisters to please let us source for valid and accurate info. Let us source for information. Even though we are not even sure it is valid or accurate, source for different accounts of information concerning that war. There is something I read a book when I was doing my IT International Airport. I worked at International Airport, Lagos State. But when I was doing my IT in 2017, I saw a book. The book has no author. It's about the history of Nigeria, the oil and gas and history of Nigeria. That's the title of the book. It has a yellow cover. I don't know if you would have come across it before. I don't know.
That's Max. That's Max Yolon. Oil, violence, and power.
Exactly. You are God. Exactly. I've been looking for that book because I could not really. I don't know the name of the author because the one I had no author. Like,
it's Max Yolon. But let me. Okay, no, finish. I'll tell you something about the book because it's a.
Okay.
Well, finish. I'm listening.
All right. Okay. There was a book. There was a part of the book that caught my attention about somebody about the one of the wars that Ojukwu fought in Nigeria, even before the Biafra War, was one that Isaac Boro started in the Niger Delta, where he declared a Niger Delta Republic. What was one of the secession that wanted to happen in Nigeria. A lot of Igbo people worship Ojukwu like he was a good person, he's a good guy, or he was killed for just no reason at all. Now, according to that account,
he died, didn't he? He wasn't killed.
He died.
Ojukwu died on his own.
He was warred against for no reason. But when I read that part of that war, I understood that we that are here now are just fighting ourselves for what greedy people did to themselves years back. Now, Isaac Boro, for some reasons, declared Niger Delta. And as at then, that was after the first coup, which was led by some people, which
which people? You mentioned Adakaboro. You have to mention those.
No, I meant I'm trying to give an account before the Niger Delta issue. There was a coup, the first coup, which was unsuccessful, according to the account, and Agu Ironsi became the head of state, where he now, through a decree, abolished regional rule in Nigeria, which was one of the first mistakes that we made in this country, was cancelling regional rule in Nigeria, which was done by Agu Ironsi. Now, sometime after, Isaac Boro, for some reasons, said that we get, Nigeria gets its money, its funding, its resources, its income from there, and that place is left undeveloped and stuff like that. So he declared Niger Delta Republic, stuff like that. And Agu Ironsi warred against him. The war lasted for 12 days. And guess who was at the forefront? It was Ojukwu that was at the forefront of that battle, which was fought for 12 days, and they won. Isaac Boro was arrested, sentenced to death, and sentenced to death. He was in prison when another coup happened that killed Agu Ironsi. Now, during that time, that was when I tell you that it was after that coup. Then there was mass killing in the north, like the Northerners were killing the.
At this point, okay, no, because okay. Sorry, if you can go back a little, you said something. Okay. I'm not giving details. I'm just giving like some things that happened that actually took us down the drain in this country. Now, there was some things that were happening, and it was, according to Ojukwu, it was not favoring the Easterners. It has to do with bloodshed in the north and stuff like that. That was what the accounts gave. I'm just
trying to give some points.
So
Points. We're not.
wait, hold on, because
Okay.
I get your point, though. See, the book
Okay.
you reference, I just opened it right now. While you were talking, I quickly picked it. Oil, Politics and Violence, Nigeria's Military Coup Culture, by Max Yolon. Yes, yellow cover. So let me start by saying this. I mean, Max Yolon is a good writer. There are things that he says that, but me, I do not trust his account of the coups
Of the history.
or of the history. And I'll tell you why. So you can't be a judge in your own case. Max, for instance, he had a show on YouTube. Somebody invited me last week. He didn't show his face. We don't know what he looks like. He uses a pseudonym. That Max is not his name. He uses a pseudonym, and we know why. His father fought in the Biafra War, according to him. So he tries hard to be objective for the Igbo standard. But for general history standard, that's not what it means to be objective, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many people who have studied it from different angles. For instance, and you're right about Adakaboro, but and you're also right about the fact that it was, what's his name? Green Rossi and Ojuku were the one who quelled that, or the one who quelled the coup. But you see, the thing is, when you said that, okay, there was something in 66, which of course happened before the Kaboro, and then the Hausa started killing them, that's the narrative that we've been told, but that's not what happened. It's not like as soon as they killed people in January, the Hausa began to kill them. That's not what happened. It took 4 months before the Hausa did anything. And when they did what they did, it wasn't even because of the fact that they killed the leaders. It was because of a law that was passed in May 24, 1966. That was what made, and I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not excusing bad behavior. I'm not saying it was good the way they attacked them, but I'm trying to be clear about the fact that if it was because of the fact that they killed the Sadauna, they would have also done the same thing right there and then in January of 1966. They waited for a very long time before they now struck, and they struck. Even the strike in Gonsev was not the major one. The major one that people are always talking about actually happened in September, 8 months after what happened in January. Yeah. And one of the things about history is that once we miss the timelines, we are going to conflate things, and we're going to sometimes we can make the victims even become the aggressor if we're not careful. So if you look at it from that perspective, whilst I'm not holding brief for the Northerners or saying what they did was right, it's also important to mention that they were hurt, they were not placated, they were not helped, and then they were also disrespected in their lands, just like it's happening right now. It happened again and again, and then they retaliated in May, and then they were able to settle it very quickly. 2 months later, July 29 was when the second coup, the counter coup, northern counter coup happened, starting in Abeokuta. Yeah. That was what now led to the killings of Northerners in Igbo land. As a matter of fact, not just in Igbo land, in the east, outside Igbo land, Igbos also killed Northerners. They killed Northerners in Obulafo, they killed Northerners in Onitsha, in Owerri, in Enugu, in Abakaliki, in Port Harcourt. It was that one that the Northerners now heard about that now caused the real killings that they now reported in October of 66. So I'm not saying, I just think it's important to put it in perspective so that way folks know that, yeah. But meanwhile, I want to ask you a question. So, are you, why, okay, I can't ask you why, but are you still planning, you know what? I'm not going to ask that question. It's a question about your relationship. You said your folks said no.
Ask.
So you said your folks said no, and her folks also said no.
Yes.
Looking at what Nigeria is right now, would you have wanted, thinking about it right now, let's assume you were able to get your way. Would it have been the right decision? In your mind, what do you think? Do you think it would have been the right decision? And by the way, I'm not saying this because of our ethnicity. I'm saying this because and the second question, of course, is she the kind of person who understands history for what it is, or is she the one who plays the victim and blames Yoruba for every problem, or blames other people for every problem? So don't tell me, but that will determine the first question.
Okay. Which one should I answer first? The last question or the first question?
No, the first one. But you don't have to
Okay.
answer the second
Okay.
one. But the first
It
one will
was,
determine what the second one
if it
is.
would have been a good choice, if it would have been the right choice, personally, for my family, it would have been the wrong choice. Personally,
How about
for
for
my
you?
family. Now, for me,
Looking back.
okay, looking, see, the thing is, we don't really know what would have happened. Like, if I knew, because to be honest, Nigeria is more divided than it's used to be. It was, you understand? For me personally, it would have been the right choice for me because she's. This will now take me to the second question. I'll now give an answer to the reason why. Now, she's this kind of person who doesn't enjoy listening. She does not even listen to news, let alone trying to understand the history of Nigeria and wanting to know why the Igbos are fighting the Yorubas, why the Yorubas are fighting the Igbos, why the Hausas and Fulanis are fighting, why we are fighting each other. She has never taken interest in politics, in history, in stuff like that. She was, or she's 100% just and simply family oriented. So I didn't really have the opportunity to talk to her about politics. I tried from the beginning though, because I'm a very big fan of history. You understand? Politics and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because unfortunately for me, I'm even from a political home. But my mom, who was the supervisory council of environment of Fosho, the solo local government, died while she was in office. So apparently Lagos State paid
Yeah.
my school fees up to this moment
Wow.
till I graduated and stuff like that. So I'm from a
I was
police
going to
strong.
say sorry. I was going to say sorry about that. They now mentioned that you collected Lagos money, so I don't know what to say now. But but still, sorry about your mom passing.
Thank you. Senator Bamidele Okpeyemi is actually close to my family as well. So yes, I'm into the line of politics.
Don't put all of that out here on TikTok, please. Just like because we have some interesting characters here sometimes.
Yeah.
But please continue.
So I'm deep rooted into Nigerian politics and stuff like that. But she was not really into all of that. She's just family oriented, business oriented. That is all. Probably because she did not grow up in the East at all. She was born and brought up in Lagos. She speaks Yoruba fluently. She speaks Yoruba fluently.
So let me quickly tell you something, and I think this might also, help others.
Okay.
Now, some people don't like what I'm about to say right now, but this is my opinion, and people may not agree with it. I don't really see anything wrong with people marrying Igbo people. But I'll tell you the problem. The problem is that when people say don't marry them, they're not talking about the person you want to marry. There's a saying in Yoruba land, Ìyàwó burúkú ó ṣe ní, àna burúkú ni ò ṣe ní.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about the person, it's about the culture from where they're coming. That's the real issue for most parents when they say things like this. And so the thing is to now go into that person's household. So even if as a whole, there's a way people from that side think, you have to go to our own family and see how they're raised. So for instance, if you marry somebody who says they can't call your children Oluwa Shekine kan, Oruko Ilu wọn gbọ́dọ̀ fún àbí wọn gbọ́dọ̀ sọ Yorùbá nílé. Meanwhile, you are the man, you have gone to work, you are busy with stuff. No matter how close you are to your children, naturally, for the most part, women are usually close, at least for a particular period of the early period of a child's life. So
yes,
if
and those
you
are
have,
very important parts.
Yes, and if in that stage the woman has already one is in Otiwagobe. So I think I'm saying this not to say that your parents, but to be clear, most parents who are against this thing actually are against it because of the cultural things they've noticed. Now you said the lady speaks Yoruba, which is actually quite nice, but then again, there are many people that speak Yoruba who don't really care. So if I'm saying this because who knows, maybe tomorrow you still want to marry an Igbo girl. If you want to marry one, just be careful about that person and that family. You're engaged. You see, she Igbo ni Abioba.
She's a Yoruba girl from Ekiti.
Okay. Kosoromo. But generally speaking, I think the real issue is that people have noticed what has happened over time. There are good people from every ethnic group. There are good people from Igbo, there are
Yeah.
Yoruba, there are good, there are people. But the problem is that if culturally speaking, you see a pattern over time from a particular group, your folks should be concerned if you want to marry from that group. The only thing I see that will make them say, okay, it's okay, is if apart from the group, the girl's family is actually not like that. In other words, it's not just about change lonely. The family, they're open and things like that. But yeah, when it comes to politics, I think they are. You see, let me also end by saying this. Sorry, maybe you say something. I don't think that. And someone sent a message put something out on Twitter the other day and said, "Oh, Yoruba people and Igbo people are not fighting. People are just making stuff." And I'm like, you don't get it. The regular people are not fighting because they don't really. For the most part, the things that you are saying have not been said to those people. When you say it to them, you now come and tell me if they will fight you or not. Go and meet a Yoruba woman on the street and say you are dirty. Go and tell people that we own Lagos. Those rhetoric that you see, they are not new. They've been around for a long time, for more than 70 years. And so when people are beginning to respond, it's important that people don't just say, oh, people on the street are not fighting. Nobody is fighting. But when it comes to ownership, when it comes to respect, everybody will fight. If you say what you are saying on social media, if you say it on the ground, so I mean, all the best with your relationship. I really, pray that I'm glad you are with your person, But in case anybody likes it, well, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong, but just be sure because there are too many examples, That's just it. But thank you okay, you want to say something more before we close?
Yes, I wanted to conclude before
Okay.
you enlighten me on that book. I was trying to get somewhere. Let me just finish, just within 30 seconds, I'm going to be done now. Now,
Okay.
I think after the killings and stuff like that, then the war broke out. Now, I read another book where
No. Not after the killings, the war broke out. No, be like that.
No,
Though.
I'm not saying it was the killing. I am not giving
Okay.
details. I'm just fast
Okay.
forwarding. I'm just fast.
Is it me or him? We already had the historical stuff, or we listened to a recording, which we'll be doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And thank you if you're just joining us, and thank you for liking the live as well, and folks on YouTube as well. Thank you very much for being here. So we said earlier that Mondays, Banke, I can't hear you. I think there's something wrong with your network. All right, we said Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays we'll be having our full sessions going forward, starting at 1 p.m. But that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to have these sessions, like half sessions, not full sessions. Half because rather than coming on the camera, we'll listen to recorded stuff and then we can have conversations like we're doing right now. But we'll need you 2 hours long, Tuesdays and Thursdays. But tomorrow is Friday. But again, just as a way of announcing, tomorrow we are starting just for tomorrow. Subsequently to be 1 o'clock every day like we usually do it, 1 p.m. if your time West African time from Mondays to Fridays. Just that Tuesdays and Thursdays will be for a couple of hours and that will be it. But Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays we'll have full sessions where we'll go all out. All right. So I came up because I thought about this while I was at the event earlier, and I was like, this might actually be a better way to. And I have to also put this out there because yesterday I was like, we'll meet on or before Monday. But then I saw some interesting news yesterday. I was like, that's okay. The Monday, so we have to have a session tomorrow, even if it's just from 4 to who knows, maybe 7 or more. I hope not. We'll see how it goes. All right, so that will be tomorrow. So 4 p.m. tomorrow, if your time West African time, we'll have the conversation. Let's have Banke finish what he's saying before we close. Oh, it's not Banke this time, it's Concilium. Oh, I'm going to hear your voice today for the first time, Concilium Proventus.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. Good
Afternoon to you.
I've been following you for quite some time now. I started following you first on YouTube. You might know me on YouTube as Olateji.
Oh, yes, I know. I used to see another Teju during live sessions on YouTube.
But
Yes.
obviously, because YouTube was obviously fluctuating, so I just told myself, let me just go to TikTok. I'm not a social media person. Matter of fact, I really don't like it at all. So I just thought, okay, let me go to TikTok. And you're the only person I follow on TikTok, as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
I don't do any social media. I don't like it. I think it's a poison in people's minds. So
Wow.
one of the things, in talking to you, I remembered something that happened to me when I was young in the 80s. I used to have a very good friend in primary school. Very close, Igbo guy. I lived in Sule, you know, they are all everywhere in Sule. So there was something he did to me in the 80s. This was early 80s. I didn't understand it. Looking back now, I'm now thinking to myself, oh, this guy was actually poisoned. He was challenged. We're in primary school, for the love of God, primary school. And this guy was looking me in the eye and telling me that, yes, Igbos are the best in common entrance, are the best in WAEC. I'm like, I was so young, I didn't understand where he was coming from. I'm like, who's telling you all of this? Why, and why does this matter to our relationship? That day, it was almost like he was fighting with me. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this young man? It took years, it took you to actually open my eyes to the fact that, oh, Nkem was just acting like an idiot. And this is what they do. I now called my brother, my younger brother, who was a bit young then, but he remembered that episode because we were supposed to play football. And Nkem just started going off. And I said, yeah, he remember. I said, he was being poisoned at home. So they're telling his parents telling him that. I mean, while his parents were very close to my family. Very, very close. I'm thinking to myself, right? So these people, as it say, from developmental stage, that's how they train them. Up until they grow older. And when they grow older, they try to keep it to themselves. They don't say anything because they have to survive naturally in the West. We don't have that problem because we don't have to go to their place to survive. I was talking to a friend of mine who is very high ranking just this afternoon. I was in his office in Lagos Civil Service. And I was talking to him and he was saying that, Oga, ti wọ́n ti pọ̀ jù. It's about time people started telling them because this thing is going to get out of hand if you don't nip it in the bud. So he said, there's more coming down the pipeline. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's how Yorubas fight anyway. We are not brawn. We are very cerebral in the way we deal with issues. So I'm thinking to myself that this might have something properly planned for them. Okay, let's wait and see. But it's about time. It's about time. Because some of us have been beaten. And we also mentioned a very close person to all of us, as in me and my friend that we're talking this afternoon. Because I know a lot of people around him. I know him because we happen to be in the same profession, or we're in the same profession. I think he's a retired lawyer now. And so he now said, he saw my friend and said, so we want to give me money. I'm like,
wow.
You know who we are talking about now? You know who we are talking about?
I'm trying to know more.
Everybody knows who we are talking about now. The one that everybody's looking at that. Can't you see what is going on? So he said, so he said he saw my. Of course. I know we are talking about now. We are trying to pull him back, but he's as in Kojak boy there. So he said he saw my friend. I said, "She was going to go on and give me money." I'm like, hey, this guy, about tell the one that you tell somebody, you go my whoever anyway. When I go story to banjo, my friend said, "Abi, what? I don't know. Nobody knows what is wrong with him. And there's a certain bitterness, and this has nothing to do with politics. There's a certain bitterness that comes. He's so venomous in the way he have you ever sat down to actually listen to any of his long form podcasts that he just, I'm like, what is the problem with this guy? You were in the corridors of power at one point in time now. All of these people know you. From Fashola to, they all know who you are. Your friends are in power. Your friends are close to power or in power. They all know you. But you are trying to make out. You went to last for the love of God. Even your classmates are looking at you funny. What the hell
Now
is
you
wrong
are
with this
telling
guy?
now you are telling everybody exactly who you are talking about.
Of course, and Toba Luti, as you say in Lagos, you know what we mean by Luti? And Toba Luti, what ye street talk, as ye, and so. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? We are admirers
But
of you.
why is that though? Why is that though? Is it like is there something between him and the government? Is there something like is there a business
That's
thing?
what we
Like
are
Kilo
trying.
Shele.
That's exactly what I've been asking people that know him. That Kilo say, boy, Kilo say, boy, you go. Kilo say. I think what is the why all this betrayal against people? And so I told one of his classmates one time, yeah, kò yé mi o mo ti ẹ lè bá sọ̀rọ̀ mo nǹkan wo ni kó má lọ sọ pé mi náà jẹ́ kí ni èmi dẹ̀ ra ṣe mo ń ṣe business ni mo ń jẹ mo gba nǹkan lọ́wọ́ ìjọba bí tí mo wà ni mo wà. Nígbà yẹn bá sọ̀rọ̀ bá sọ kí ni kẹ̀ even my cousin that was his classmate is like hey bá sọ̀rọ̀ kẹ̀ kó má lọ gbé mi ṣépè lórí social media. Everybody's not looking at him. I think that we are looking at him. We don't know what to say to him. It's like he's gone rapid. And he can't.
And he has a couple of books. So I have one of his books. Very fantastic thing. Like
yeah, do you know that?
Know
Well, I used to read his write-ups. He's a master storyteller. He knows how to write stories. That is it. He's very eloquent. He comes up as somebody that's extremely well read. But come on, this is not politics anymore. This is personal. This vindictiveness at going at people is personal, and I think it even made it worse. Afe made it worse with what he did last year, and I'm thinking to myself that. And meanwhile, Afe is not even in the camp of people that are in government per se. Obviously, he's an old man. You cannot choose to ignore him, but he's not in the camp of the people that are in government now. We have more or less elevated him to as in a godfather position somewhere. He can ask for anything, he can say whatever he wants, but he's not really in the what's the phrase I'm looking for? The day-to-day happenings of what government is actually doing. So for him to say that Afe is in cahoots with the government of the day, that's a bloody lie. Afe is Obasanjo's man, as in forever and always. And Obasanjo is not this government getting, because as Yoruba people, they will pay him his due, they will respect him and whatnot. But they are more or less like, this is how we are doing our thing. You did your thing, we're telling you, you did it your way. Let us do it our own way. That's why Obasanjo has not to respect Are. Don't sit down somewhere and keep quiet. Because all of this back and forth that they are doing, I don't understand. With our friend, let me call him our friend. Because no,
it is well.
It is well.
Thank you so much, Esego. Thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate it. And I mean, guys, we're talking. So I think yesterday there was a video that was put out there where the said person was talking about Ayo Adebanjo, and I think, to be honest, I would love for us to have like this. To be honest, I like.
Sorry. I need to say something about Ayo Adebanjo. Ayo Adebanjo was very close to my dad, extremely close. My dad is late now. Meanwhile, from what I gathered, from what I heard, from people that were there back in those days, and from books I read, they used to call them what they call them. I want to see a papa. Street baba. Street baba. No, Baba Ngbela papa. Kiniko constituency. The man street baba. Baba Ngbela papa. And all of them, they had, as far as our is concerned, they had no real electoral value. Look at what he was doing after what's his name? Papa Adesanya died.
Oh, okay.
After Bolaige died, obviously they were the ones that scuttled Bolaige's agenda. Meanwhile, they're also the ones that more or less threw a spanner into the works between Gani Adams and Bola Tinubu back in those days. Because he had to fight. Looking back now, if you think about it, they had him hemmed up in the corner. He had nowhere to go. The fact that he fought himself as in broke free from them is a sign of a real thinker. Because anybody else would have been as a hamstrung, because there was nowhere for him to go. They had Obasanjo had them in. They had Obasanjo in their pockets. They had most of Lagos State civil service and whatnot, but he found a way around it. And what did Obasanjo do to them? I even know of one person. Is late now. He's a former Federal House of Reps member for Lagos, somewhere on the mainland. I won't mention because some people might know him. The day the AD lost all 5 states in the southwest, because I worked on his campaign for a Federal House of Reps seat. The day the AD lost, I went to
This was in 2003.
Yes. I worked on his campaign. I went to this man's house because his house was not far away from mine, like 3 houses away, crying. It was a total wipeout that day. I went to his house crying, and I told him, "Hey, sir, Sherry Koto Cheledi. You know what he told me? He said, "Shout to win, I to PDP. Shout to Yoruba ni." I was confused. Only for him to get to Abuja, immediately Baba jumped ship. He left AD immediately. He jumped ship immediately. He's late now. And meanwhile, that seat that was given to him back then, how funny life is. That seat that was given to him back then was given to him by Aregbesola, who has also done what now? So life is very funny. Everybody can jump ship.
Wow. It is well.
Well.
Thank you very much. I mean, this one that you came up today, thank you very much for actually coming up, because
I
know what you sound like, and I also heard things from you.
I like listening. So, but I think there's a lot of people are on today. So I like listening to people speak. So I have my own stories. I like listening to people speak. So I just felt, okay, let me come up today and speak. All right, thank you. I'll keep doing what you're doing. And yes, and another thing, most important, when are we getting your Victor Banjo screenplay? We need that thing. We need it.
So now that you even say, let me say to everybody. So Consilium, your name Consilium. You must be a lawyer, aren't you?
Of course I am.
Because Latin there are at the back. I want legal minds. All right. So Consilium has been talking about stage production. I'm open to it, but that's also one of the reasons I'm going to be, having shorter sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But let me also say this: if we're going to do this, we're going to need a lot of sponsors. Stage production.
Yes. I'm talking to people that look. Let's make this. All the people that come back from the overs, from the away,
30 December.
That come and do 30 December. Yes, let them come and watch stage play. Koriwa. Entirely Yoruba affair. Let them know that 30 December is in Lagos, it's in Yoruba land, it's not in. If you want to go and do that, it's in Abakaliki or Umuahia or Nisha, go and do it. But I want to buy. We will do something for ourselves. We're not doing it for you. Go. I have no problem with them.
All right. So, Mr. Saeed Bayonde, please reach out to me. So the thing is, when I do stage plays, to be honest, I like it when it's musical because it's different from what others do. So I'm at a stage. So writing, I've already started working on it, to be honest. All right. And the thing is just I'm still wondering if it's good for. I'm looking at the best time to set it because that story is tragedy.
Yeah,
tragedy.
It's also a lesson to all of us. It's also a lesson for all of us to not be carried away by our intellectualism.
Emotions.
We are this, we are that. No, because a lot of us actually believe that these people are who they say they are. And to be honest with you, their foundation is extremely clannish. We are a very open society, but they are extremely clannish.
Let me quickly speak on. Let me quickly speak on the point I make. So that stuff, the production, I already started working on it. So there are many stories, right? There are films, there's series, but I think this one can start as a stage production, and then we can scale it later.
It should.
But let me just say to everybody now that tentatively we can have a live show, or not even live show, live shows in Lagos in December. It's possible. but I'm going to need all the support. So we're going to. So if you know anybody that can sponsor something like that, please reach out. Like we need.
Well, I'll talk
Yeah.
to people. I'll talk to people. I'll ask people, even Lagos State government go arts and culture, anyone. Let them do something about it. They have art and culture. Even if it's just, even if we do all this, what's this thing that Bingadibo used to do on radio before?
Audio drama.
The audio drama, we can do it. We can do it like that, and then turn to a stage play, as it morph into something else.
No, stage play is even good because
Yeah.
this stage play has a way around it. I mean, it's something that we can do.
Yes.
So yeah, if you so I'm putting out there to everybody. We're going to talk about it again in August. Already I was creating a schedule for it, like if it's going to be in December when the rehearsal starts. So we're getting to August tomorrow, so everybody, this is for all of us, right? We can have a show or a series of shows at the end of the year, but please reach out to me if you know anybody that can help sponsor it. So that would be
Also,
whether
I know someone.
Yeah,
I know someone from your neck of the woods. He grew up in your town.
okay.
He grew up in your town. I mentioned you to him. He says, "Yeah, he knows of you. He's from the east. He's from the east. Hello?
He's Igbo,
Yes, from the east.
but grew up in Ife,
We call him.
and he knows me.
We don't call him. We call him an Ife boy because primary school Ife, secondary school Ife.
I know university is also Ife.
Ife.
Must be.
By the time his parents, his mother and father worked in Ife. When they retired, father worked in Ife. So father had to stay in Ife because mother was still working in Ife when he retired.
Wow.
So when my friend goes home in December, he's going to where?
Ife. Wow.
Ife Lile.
Irú àwọn ọbẹ̀ yẹn ewé ti pẹ́ lára ọṣẹ àwọn yẹn ò ń ṣe ọmọ ọbẹ̀ yẹn mọ́.
Kò sẹ́ni tó gbọ́ Yorùbá, kò sí nǹkan tí George fi ń pòwe. Bọ́ wà ní ọ́fíìsì báyìí, tá a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ lọ, ó máa pòwe lọ ni, as in he's deep in the culture. And George can speak different dialects of Yoruba because he's met a lot of people coming around him, and he lived in that town. He likes nothing more than going to the bush, go and kill a parrot. That's his own joy.
Okay.
Boy.
So where did he hear? Did he watch? Does he come on YouTube or TikTok?
No, when I mentioned it to him, I saw him one time. I saw him one time in court. Georgie, wow, Shobara Kuni, more. If you know the first name, go and ask about him in Ife.
Okay. All right. So
so
let me just put it out there before we have
that screenplay is very important. We need to have it.
That stage play, you mean?
Yeah, screenplay, stage play, whatever you artists call it. We need to have it. Because I mentioned it to a friend of mine whose grandfather used to be big in the theater art. I was like, he's also in the entertainment right now. He's a lawyer as well, but he's in entertainment. He does a lot of work for all these new age musicians. I don't listen to their music anyway, but what's his name? Shina Peter's kid is one of his clients. So
Clarence.
I'm like, yeah, not Clarence. Clarence is a friend.
Okay.
So I told him, let's see. So it's just a start. You might invite me to something that might tell a few people, as in people that actually have genuine interest of Yoruba people at heart, not our Yoruba but I know that our entertainment industry.
Yeah, I'm going to find. I will. So I'm thinking of. By the way, is only original ni kini elegba, but my car more. Mi ní ṣe tó máa jẹ́ pé ní ṣe tó máa ní fi sorry èèyàn kan pàtó, so that we don't have to go through the rigors of having to talk to families. I don't want to do that because because you can make it about the person.
We don't talk to any family. If you talk about families, they won't let you do anything.
Yeah, so
they want you to write a story according to what they want. No, there's already material for us to use.
Materials for days. By the way, what the plan is to have like movies and series and stuff on the wall, on Nigeria's history, on the different aspects of it, but from different perspectives. So it's not it's not tilted towards any group, and it's also not denying what
if you
people
want to
also
do a
went.
series, I think you should do a 6-part series, make it short and sweet. Nigerians have very short attention spans.
Eka kọ́kọ́ tẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú stage náà, because the thing about stage plays, by the way,
Your
Koji, the
your
thing
stage
about
play
stage
will be
is,
translated to your screen.
of course,
stage play will translate to screen.
that's the plan.
6 parts in it.
Yeah, that's the part. That's the plan. Vodi, so the movies, of course, movies will be okay, but stage is actually,
Yeah.
for the most part, not as expensive. If you, there's a way to, stage can usually cheaper.
Our old time stage actors here would, as in people in the entertainment industry, movies, would be very happy to try to want to do it. But I think we need to involve state governments. One ministry
State governments.
of arts and one ministry of arts and culture, preferably Lagos, because they're the only ones that have the wherewithal to actually do anything about it. Should be pushing it forward. Ogun State should be, even if you are doing Victor Banjo, Ogun State should be open to doing it because of more money.
Anyway, we'll talk about this thing of
Please, let's talk. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Okay.
Let's even do a public GoFundMe. Everybody, Dawu.
Yeah, and I'm putting this out to everybody. If you know anyone that could help support companies, events, I'm going to expand upon this in the month of August. So that by September we'll go into the second stage of pre-production, and then we'll make it happen. So thank you very much.
Good December, Kashue.
Yeah.
Kashue ni national theatre. What's that to say? Kashue mbe.
Yeah.
National theatre is a national story, so let them come and see if they want to see. Want to hear the truth. But fẹ́ gbọ́ àwọn tá à ń sọ tó ń ṣe àwọn ọmọ wèrè tó wà lójú tì àwọn ọmọ bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ very soon káwọn ẹ̀dẹ̀ gbọ́ go wọn ní wojú ṣe wọ́n á deal pẹ̀lú yín.
All
right, thank you very much for your time. Very grateful for coming on.
SLA is there, Sha, but we're not talking about the coup. You know what? I will let you know once it's done. I'll give you an idea. I'll give a synopsis and then also give an idea what we're working with. But it's big, but it's not as big as making a movie. So for a movie, for instance, now you're thinking hundreds of millions to make like cinema-worthy movies. But this is of course not as expensive as that. But it's also not small money. But I'm sure we can pull it off. All right. Let me just quickly answer the question. So thank you very much, Concilium. We're going to go to Donald Shola. But before we do, somebody says, by the way, Mr. Busi, what was Victor Banjo's offense with Odumegu? Number one, he didn't steal money that Ojukwu wanted him to steal. Number two,
He didn't steal money that Ojukwu wanted him to steal. Number two, he couldn't get into Yoruba land with the weapons available to him. And number three, because Ojukwu is just a coward. Yeah, who hates to take responsibility and finds a way to put it on other people in order to make himself look good. So those are the reasons. Somebody says here, you are popular amongst Igbos. It is well. I just hope that everybody understands that we're all together. If this helps us heal, then I will be fulfilled. I'm not doing this for Gbasgbos, to be honest. And folks in the East need to know this. It's just that the lies are too many. So when I speak, sometimes I'm very forceful about it, but it's not. I don't have any ill will towards Easterners. It's just that you don't take Poju, and you don't to the point where it's like the identity of the people is built around lies and propaganda. It's just, and to make it worse, they don't just have the lies about themselves; they also have the lies about people. It was so bad in 1983. Papa was talking about Odumegu Ojukwu, and he said it was irredeemable. And that's why I don't trip about what he said in 1987 when Papa died, and he said, Awolowo was the best president Nigeria ever had, which, I mean, for all intents and purposes, makes a lot of sense. But then when the man was alive, you lied about him until he died. So I don't have a lot of respect for for people like that. But to be honest, it's nothing against the group. It's just that the group also has to fix up. People have to evolve. Cultures have to, evolve and change and change with the times. Since culture, after all, is supposed to be dynamic. All right. We're going to have Donald Shola. By the way, for those who are just coming in, somebody asked the format has changed. So what's happening is Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, we'll do what we do. We'll also cut short the music. So we're not going to be playing music for 1 hour, maybe 20 minutes or so. Or 30 minutes, had a person conversation. So I know some people will just say, they just play music, I'll come later. So from tomorrow, from Monday, tomorrow music will be Polola because we're starting 4 p.m. anyway. So from Monday, the music will not be so long. So please don't chill and to say, okay, at some point, I shall join one. Just try and, be there from the very start. And then so that'll be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like today, we'll be having like half a session where we'll play an audio. So we'll play an audio. And like I said earlier, we have about 555 videos on YouTube at the moment. There are many shorts, but there are also many long form videos. So we'll be playing some of those videos, and then we'll also get to talk about those things. But Tuesdays and Thursdays will be limited to just 2 hours, right? So 1 to 3 p.m., and that will be it. And so that's why this format is a bit different. So you don't see me on the camera. I'm not, going all about the topic, and we can have conversations outside what we usually do on our regular shows. So that's why it's the way it is. And it looks like it's working. So we'll do it again on Tuesday, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays. But tomorrow, by the way, is Friday. But because of the previous engagement, we're going to be meeting at 4 p.m. But that's just for tomorrow, not screen share, not marking. So 4 p.m. tomorrow, we'll have our session here. Somebody says here, guess what? An old man on the popular media said it was Victor that betrayed Ojukwu and made him lose the war. Yes, I saw the video. We even analyzed the video some time ago. When the old man was talking about what happened with himself, with himself and Ojukwu, in exile, I thought he knew what he was talking about. And I to be honest, I think he does know what he was talking about, because he's talking about what he was actually part of. The bit about Victor Banjo is just nonsense, with all due respect, but with no apologies. Absolute rubbish, because he's saying things that he did not know, or he does not know. He will say things like Ojukwu said. I mean, knowing Ojukwu for what he was or who he was, that he said something doesn't mean that he should ore lioli. You can't say, because he said, he wasn't there. He was just making things up based on what Ojukwu said. So no, I can't, take that seriously. But yeah, thank you very much for that. Let's quickly have our brother Donald Shola. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ekwetu, ekurole.
Ekwojo meta.
Ìjọkọ̀ pẹ̀lú àbí kí la fẹ́ sọ. Ekwetu.
Yes, sir.
Àwọn kan tí mo kàn fẹ́ hard kò pọ̀ lọ títí. Ẹni tó sọ̀rọ̀ last yẹn ti sọ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ. Because one of the things tá à ń ṣe bí òun ni pé à ń conscientize our next generation. Some of our Gen Z really more history, and history, it always shape humans. It makes you to be alive. It makes you accept your responsibility. It makes you know where your people are coming from, and it makes you to know the truth. The truth yẹn gangan ló ti sọnù lọ́dọ̀ àwọn Arabi. To the Njeka situation tawa right now. There are many things that I don't want to talk about, but one thing Timo Professor can, instead of stage play, me might prefer maybe cartoon and animations. First, you might get to the ones that are growing up. Àti ewé àti rewéréwé ní ká ti mú wọn ká dẹ̀ ti máa feed wọn, because àwọn people wọ́n ti ń feed àwọn tí wọ́n ní irọ́ láti kékeré. Irọ́ yẹn ló dẹ̀ stay sí wọn lọ́pọlọ. No amount of what you tell them, even give them references from books, from everything, some of them will still stay adamant. You are lying. Why will you lie? But I'm giving you references from here. So, and visual, everybody can, what you see, you believe, is still better than what you hear. So, and what I know, even apart from that one, mi ò mọ tó dé tí Yorùbá ò tí buy into animation and cartoons, because so I've been to many countries in West Africa. I've been to all the 36 states in Nigeria, and I stand to be corrected, but there is no tribe in this West Africa, Timomo, Tony mock as in folklores concerning animal and personifying non-living things more than Yoruba. More serious. I stand. Many of our folklores have been adapted by other tribes. Gbogbo Ìjàpá àti Yánníbo. Mo lè rántí, there is one film táwọn Nollywood ṣe jáde nígbà kan tó jẹ́ 7 warriors tó wọnú bóyá Ìgòdò or something like that. I've forgotten. It's just an adaptation of Igbo Olódùmarè. Gbogbo nǹkan tó wà níbẹ̀ yẹn, you just see it. Wàá mọ̀ wípé every other people wọn ní folklores tó wà, àwa la personify living things. In some folklores in some areas, wọ́n á sọ pé òkúta ń sọ̀rọ̀, and nǹkan tó fẹ́ fi mú jáde ó ní ọgbọ́n lórí. So bí a ṣe buy into animation yẹn, ó sì máa ń yà mí lẹ́nu, because we have more to give to the world than àwọn tó ń ṣe gangan.
One of the reasons is actually the cost. Animations are crazy expensive. A few years ago, this is about 8 years ago, there's a 15-minute stuff that was made, Malaika. It had Mio Konlawa, it had the Yahoo Banky W, Adeswa.
No, the Adeswa.
Yeah, that money they crowdfunded to even make the 15 minutes. 15 minutes. I still have that. I think it's still on. I think it's on YouTube. Okay. The thing is rendering all those things. Of course, there are different types. There's the animation, so there be 3D animation. Then there's the 2D one. Those are cartoon. Those ones are easier. So on 2D they are cheaper. But I think, and I agree with what you're saying. But I think we can do the two, to be honest. Like even the older people also may not want to watch a cartoon, but they can still watch a stage play or watch a movie, a proper film. Yeah. And like I said, it's more expensive to make movies than it is to make stage productions. So, for instance, a lot of stage plays, in many cases, can thrive for the most part on very few faces, very few known faces. Very few known faces. But for movies, because it's totally commercial, you have to put everything, and the more you have those faces, the more expensive it is. Some of the movies you see that are being made now in Nigeria, some of them, without trying to sound like I'm exaggerating anything, some of them are not made with anything less than 150 to 200 million.
Wow.
Of course, there are cheaper movies, though. It's not like, there are movies that are still made for 10 million naira. So it depends.
Mo ti ń rí àwọn, especially Edo 2D cartoons tó sọ̀rọ̀ nípa war, tó dẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé distortion náà fi sí orí YouTube. Àwọn defeat, àwọn defeat ọ̀wọ̀, the war in war, and many other things. Tó jẹ́ pé distortion yẹn ti ń pọ̀, and àwọn ọmọ màmá stumble on some of these things.
Lóòótọ́ ni.
Tán bá tún lọ believe wàhálà ló máa jẹ́ fún wa. Àti convince, especially ọmọdé, nǹkan tó bá ti wà lọ́pọlọ èèyàn láti kékeré, ó léwu. Àwọn stage play yẹn is more for the elite. Although my cousin, he won Best Director, AMVCA. I can bring him on board too, Shola Robert.
No problem. Director,
No.
director. Maybe. So the thing about it also is that so stage is a totally different place from movies. I mean, I've done stage since I was a teenager. Directing for stage is a totally different field. So, but of course, most of the people I'm going to need, to be honest, are people that can bring money, and people that can act and sing. And when it's time to do all those things, yeah. But no problem if if you're able to connect
Stage,
with
yeah,
such
stage,
people.
like stage. Oshima organized stage, Leko. Even you see
Okay,
organized one, yeah,
no
he
problem.
organized theater at
Absolutely.
um,
Okay, okay. Okay.
to
So whatever, yeah, I'm open to such collaborations. Actually,
okay. Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So someone is on YouTube saying, okay, maybe you're talking about Igodo or Igodo. Someone says my dad is half European, half Ishekiri on his mother's side. My mother is full Yoruba. Would you consider me a Yoruba person? If you have to ask this question, I don't even think you're Yoruba. That's the truth. If you have to ask, you know why? I'll respond to you later. Let's first finish this particular one. So someone is saying animations are very expensive. That's true. And someone also said on TikTok that AI makes it easier. I'm actually looking out for certain tools right now. I'm seeing some things in AI, but there's a level that has to get to before I get in that particular using that particular tool. Some of those particular tools. Yeah. So nothing is impossible. And the way it is, we don't have to do this or that. We can do both. We can even do more than both. We just have to, create a schedule like, okay, but the goal is to get the story out and make sure it's entertaining and educating at the same time, or educational at the same time. So someone says here, so let me quickly answer the Yoruba ethnic guy before we go. It's 5:58, and I say we'll not be going beyond 2 hours. It says my dad is half European, half Ishekiri on his mother's side. My mother is full Yoruba. Would you consider me a Yoruba person? So let me quickly answer that. I said something earlier when I was going to answer the question. To answer that, the fact that you're asking that question is actually what is making me not even know if I can call you a Yoruba person. If you're Yoruba, you would not need to ask the question. You wouldn't. So that's one. And it might be maybe you were not socialized as Yoruba. Maybe you were not raised like that. But I don't believe in all these things that people say, mixed blood, half blood. Somebody's father is this, the mother is this. Therefore, you can't call them Yoruba. I don't think it makes sense personally, right? But you see, ancestry is not enough. And I've said it several times. In Yoruba land, ancestry is not enough. If your character is off, even if your father was the king, they'll drive you out. So if you're asking on a general note, like, okay, your father is a Shekiri, this half you're even saying God save is actually funny to me, but your father is Shekiri, your father is Yoruba, you are Yoruba, your mother is full Yoruba. I mean, it depends on how they raised you. Did they raise you? Did they raise you as a Yoruba person? Or you raised with the culture of the Yoruba people? Those are the things that actually matter, right? And but again, please don't ask. I'm wondering why you asked that question, because it has nothing to do with what we're discussing. So the fact I just dropped it in there is what makes me wonder if I can even call you that. But you don't need anybody's. The society the Yoruba society will not push against you and say you are not Yoruba. That's for sure. Especially your mother's people. They don't say, oh, he's not Yoruba. His father is half white. His father is half Ishekiri. Therefore, no. The father you even mentioned in Ishekiri is not safe. You are at home. You're at home, right? But like I always say, it's beyond ethnicity. It's beyond ancestry. At the end of the day, Omoluabi is not so much about your blood as it is about your character. So for me, I'll call you brother, but I'll call you brother if you call yourself. I mean, if you were raised to be that and you say you are that, yes. Until you say you are not or you act otherwise, then I'll say, you are the other one that you said. But no, nobody has. I don't do all those half things. If you're half, I don't like you. Thank you for even bringing that up. Somebody's talking about Ashley. Ashley Plum. No, that's on the surname. Now that I've read the way you type surname, now surname is Plumtel or something. I can't pronounce the name. You know the funny thing about the own family, the grandfather is Egba. Is Eko. Is Egba that settled in Lagos. So, but Yoruba, full Yoruba, got married to an Oyibo. They gave birth to a son who is Yoruba. We don't do half in. I don't get where this thing even started with this half thing that people are saying. Is Yoruba. Ashley no, not Plumtree. It's Plumter. She then, I'm sorry, gave birth to a boy. The man is a man now. The man is Yoruba. We don't do half. The way I think about this thing is like, whatever you want to do by your mother, do it, but you are fully Yoruba. I don't say you are half this, then they now use it to insult you. I don't understand why people do that. It's like saying Shango is half Yoruba. Shango is not half Yoruba. Shango is Yoruba, but the mother is Takwa. The mother is Nupe. But we don't say Shango is half. I don't like, personally. And by the way, this half thing that people are saying, I hope they know that it's actually a racist idea from Europe and America. With the half caste and octoroons and quarter. That's why you have someone like Mariah Carey. She's a 16th. I don't know what you're going to call that, because her father, I think, was an octoroon. And all those things usually is linked to the one drop policy. So I don't know where we got it from. I mean, I know where we got it from, but I don't know why we like it. So for instance, for them, and of course, this goes back to Jim Crow. You have situations where if there's a drop of black, you are black. So a half caste marries a white person, that one is a quarter caste, that's black. The quarter caste marries a white person, that's an octoroon, that's black. But the point is that child actually has more white than black. So why is he not white? Why is he black? It's the one drop policy, one drop rule. And that one drop rule is what we are also using, that I know that some people are beginning to use. If you have a drop of this, you are that. I'm like, nah. If you're Yoruba, you're Yoruba. Quarter or half or full or 8 or 16th or you're Yoruba. That's how I understand, the concept of ethnicity. What I would not do, though, is I will not go around shouting, you are Yoruba, that's your business. Whatever you choose to call yourself is who you are. I can turn away. Yeah, so I was saying that, so for Ashley, for instance, the grandfather is Yoruba, the grandmother is white. Gave birth to their son, who also married a white woman. And then they gave birth to Ashley. She's Yoruba. She's not half this, half that. If she says she's half something, it's right. I mean, if she comes home now and says to me, I'm half your side. Me, I'm like, you're full my side. If you get to your mother's side, you can ask them whether you're half their side or full their side. But I acknowledge their own. You can be 100% of both. That's what I'm trying to say, basically. You're 100% Yoruba. You're 100% the other thing. But if you're Yoruba, regardless of, all this, Baba mi o nso yinbo, tapa ni o, I saw one that was actually quite funny, and my great-great-great-grandmother was Fulani. What am I? Pencil in the hand of the creator. That's who you are. What kind of stupid question is that? Yeah, Yoruba. Your father is Yoruba, your mother is Yoruba, your grandmother is Yoruba, your grandfather is Yoruba, but 3 generations away, somebody is Fulani. So what are you? What kind of question is that? You are at home. That's the point. You are not, nobody's pushing you and saying you have a drop of Kinikon. Therefore, and by the way, I know some people also call themselves something, I won't say it here, who also push that thing and use it to attack people and say somebody is mixed because there's some Kinikon in their lineage. And I'm like, you that you're talking, if it sets your family very well, maybe there's one Fulani somewhere. I don't think it's really about that. Especially when you identify with the Yoruba people, you identify with the culture, you identify with our worldview. You are us, we are you. You are not otherizing us. You are home. But even if you are fully Yoruba, I'm using that word I'm using that phrase, but she understand it. Like your father, your mother, everybody in your family, they're all Yoruba. But you begin to act like Omwali. Nobody would care about your ancestry. They will call you a bastard. That's the thing about Yoruba people. Blood is important, but it goes beyond blood. You begin to act, it's about character. Ifiniwa. So obviously, who are Ipande, Omo they will call you what you are, regardless of who your parents are. So yeah, it's important to talk about the blood, but it's more than that. It's about character as well. Anyway, but please, I'm not saying we should not use that one as an excuse. Or like one person can just be one something and say, like the clown that spoke on this live the other day said, I have a Yoruba baby mama, therefore I'm Yoruba. And I watched that video yesterday. I could not stop laughing. I didn't know how I laughed so much. I was like, how did the person think like this? Say, I have Yoruba baby mama. I'm one of you. How can you be one of us because you have a baby mama? It's actually quite interesting. So there are extremes to all these things, but you get the point. The point is that we embrace our children, we embrace them regardless of the ethnicities of their mothers, but the important thing is that they are raised to be Yoruba and they are taught the Yoruba way and Yoruba culture until if they or anybody, regardless of the circumstances of their birth, decide to denigrate Yoruba culture, denigrate Yoruba people, go against Yoruba interests, we're not going to care whose parents they are. We're going to say that those people are illegitimate. So that's how it works in Yoruba culture. I hope I answered that question. Yoruba ethnic proponent. You even have Yoruba ethnic proponent as your name. You're not asking me. You're Yoruba, as far as I'm concerned, unless you say you're not. And I will respect your choice. All right. So, Bill, I say this thing worked today, so we'll go try them again. Let's just announce again. Tomorrow we'll be meeting 4 p.m. and we'll be having as much as we can cramp into 4 hours. No music, just straight up the news, and then our lowest path. That will be part 7 tomorrow. From Monday, we'll be having 3 full sessions every week and 2 not so full sessions. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 1 p.m. to 7, thereabout. We'll be having conversations like we've always had, and then of what we've done. And like I said, please engage our videos on YouTube. We have about over 500 of them, 555 to be exact, but more are coming up this evening. So in the next few days, we might get to the 600 mark. So we have short, we have long form content. Please engage, like them, share them. That's also a way. Before we start talking about stage, we're going to do the plays. Before we get into the plays and the movies and the animations and stuff, let's use what we have right now to get the information across to people. So please share the videos. Also, like we've been talking about, there's a possibility that we have a production in December to get the story, to get the information passed as in a story form. There are many stories, by the way. So I'm just thinking of the one that we're going to do that will not be too tragic, but the one that's, because this thing came up when we're doing the Victor Banjo thing, and I've thought about the story over and over. Everywhere I look, at tragedy, Fulham, and December is supposed to be fun. So we'll come up with something, but pre-production starts in August. The second stage of production starts in September. We have a schedule already. But please, if you know anyone who can help sponsor the stuff, please reach out to me. We're going to be educating Yoruba people, educating Nigerian history, but we're going to be doing it in a way where there's fun, there's comedy, there's laughter, music, but then the message is delivered. All right. One other thing, I'm thinking of a particular type of content, but I won't talk about it. Once it's out, you will see it, and then I will ask you for your feedback. But for now, I can't say so because I've not finished working on it yet. Now, somebody said something earlier. Let me quickly respond to that, and then we can close. What about if you direct the movie yourself with Nollywood Yoruba? Nah, it's not that kind of movie. It's big. These stories are very big. I'd rather do stage than do YouTube movies. And there's nothing wrong with YouTube movies. I'm just saying that I'd rather record stage productions and then put it out on YouTube than to make a movie of that level, of that kind of story. You know exactly. Don't worry. I'll explain. Maybe when we talk, I'll explain. But it's an important point. So thank you. Somebody says GRV chooses not to be Yoruba, Prof, he posted a follow-up question about GRV. Really? So why don't you consider Igbos who live in Lagos speak Yoruba? This one is a clown. Sorry, now that you have written what you have written, let me call my attention to it. So let me tell you what this interesting person said on YouTube. So why don't you consider Igbos who live in Lagos speak Yoruba and so on as Yoruba? If blood or ancestry doesn't matter, would you consider GRV's children Yoruba? No. Even you, I don't consider Yoruba. No, I did not say blood doesn't matter. You are not Yoruba. You are literally twisting my word because you have an agenda which is literally based on inferiority complex. You are not Yoruba. If that's what you've been waiting for me to say, now I've said it. You are not. Did anybody hear me say it's not about blood or ancestry? I said it's not just. This is what happens when people are looking for the agenda. You are not one of us. You know, in Yoruba land, sometimes it's people like this that make you bow away buruku. Ti leban toro. Ọmọ àlè ibẹ̀ ni ò tí dàgbà. Àwọn tó máa ń kẹ́hìn parọ́ òye nìyẹn. Àwọn tó máa ń kẹ́hìn parọ́ àwọn òwe bẹ́ẹ̀ nìyẹn. No. I think you think it's recording. If it's even here, you can come and cut it and use it. That's why I'm very careful what I say. I did not say the blood doesn't matter. I say it's not just about ancestry. The character matters. So for you and your ilk, the point is that you don't even have the character and you don't have the blood. Therefore, you are not Yoruba. I hope that answers your question now. I talked about people who were raised in the culture, people who were socialized as Yoruba. You didn't see any of those things. Just went straight to the point that somebody speaks Yoruba. Any clown can speak any language. If you start speaking Chinese right now, does that make you a Chinese? So you speak Yoruba, and so what? You speak Yoruba, but you are working against the interests of Yoruba people. Why should you be considered a Yoruba person? Even if your parents are Yoruba, I will say that you are an illegitimate person because you are not about our interests as a people. So if you think you're trying to dig a pit for me, you just jumped into it. So you just showed yourself not to be a Yoruba person, by the way. Regardless of who your parents are, respectfully. And I mean, it's not about whether your parents are fully Yoruba. Anybody that starts question by also putting all those things out, I'm half, I'm full, you have your own personal issues and all right. Sometimes Southeast clowns use the name and picture of Awo. Yes, maybe that's what they are doing to push propaganda. So I hope I answered your question and I hope you got it. Thank you very much for being here. So tomorrow, meanwhile, thank you. I know some people even gave gifts today, even though you're not seeing my face. Thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. So it's a test transmission, sort of. So by Monday, by next week, we'll make it like full stuff. So 6:14, it's time to go. Thank you very much for being here today. It's been wonderful. I like this session. We'll do it again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Just for tomorrow, by the way. Just for tomorrow. Every other day is 1 p.m. Just that we'll close the session earlier on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then a bit later on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thank you very much for being here. I don't have the gear where I'm going to play. Okay, I actually do. But not my play when you say. So there's this software that I use in playing the anthems. This is weird. Okay. So might as well just do what we usually do before we go. Someone said, I know a lady on TikTok that's named Chioma and speaks good Yoruba, but that's not Igbo. People accept her. Yes, now. Yes. There are people who have become Yoruba who are not even, neither of their parents were even Yoruba. But Yoruba people accept them. Why? Because what is Jarawa? It's not the person who says that because I've lived in Lagos and I speak Yoruba language, therefore I'm Yoruba. Who are you? You don't determine that. We determine that. You are still a stranger until we say you're not. If you like, speak Awori. Or speak Ife. Komarafe. It's not about all of those things. I didn't know you'd be out today. No, don't worry. We started at 4. We're closing now. We'll be again tomorrow at 4. So, in your show, all of us show about general echo we're going to do what we usually do. which is play the anthems as we close the live session. So thank you everybody for being everybody for being here today, even though I didn't announce it yesterday. Thank you for liking 20k. We tried though, but tomorrow we're going to multiply it by maybe 20. Right. So thank you very much for being here. Thanks to everybody in the comment section. Thank you. People are still talking about this thing. A man that married Efunroyi Tinubu was a Kanuri man, and he even adopted Tinubu's surname. His children adopted Tinubu's surname. Yes. His children adopted the name, but he's Kanuri. And those children today, I'm very careful not to say that thing, but since you've typed it, I might as well, yeah. His children adopted the name of their father's wife. Not the children that Tinubu did not even give birth to any children for that man. But the children that came out of that, of his other relationships, they adopted Tinubu's first name as the name. By the way, Tinubu originally is not even her surname. It's Oshun Tinubuwa. That's the full name, shortened to Tinubu. That's her own name. I remember that back in the day, we didn't have surnames in Yoruba land. You have your first name, then you have your Oriki, right? And then they adopted that name. So yes, a lot of people, there are many families that we know in Lagos. To jẹ́ pé wọ́n ṣe Yorùbá ni wọ́n sìn, but àwọn tó kọ́kọ́ wá ń gbà yẹn wọ́n ṣe Yorùbá. Ṣùgbọ́n we're all family now. But they didn't come around asking us funny questions and trying to gaslight us with why are you not calling us Yoruba? No, they have more wisdom than to ask that kind of question. Anyway, it's been nice. Thank you for being here on TikTok, on YouTube, and I'll see you again tomorrow. But before we go, for YouTube folks, we're going to let you go now because Afẹ́ Kọ Anthem Nigeria, and we're going to have a copyright strike on YouTube for that. So thank you very much for being here, folks on YouTube. Do have a fantastic evening, and then I'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Omolara Ogun Dare Ekushe Lu Eshoma. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, have a great evening, folks on TikTok. On YouTube. I'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. tomorrow, 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. All right, let's now go to our folks on TikTok. Ẹkáàbọ anthem. So we're going to have the Nigerian anthem and then the Yoruba anthem, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so let's get. Where's the cable? You're the faith